Hello, everybody. Welcome. Michelle, how are you?
I'm great, but if I stay on one spot, there's a lot of mosquitoes. I'm walking outside.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want you to get bit on mosquitoes. Robert, how are you? Michelle, can you see Robert as a speaker? Oh, no. Let's
Not
send him
yet.
an invite to speak. And I see Rich. You want to speak as well. He's welcome to come up. And let's see. Oh, Robert is there. Yeah, sometimes we have issues with accepting requests to speak, but if the person, there you go. Robert, how are you, man?
Doing great.
Welcome to AI Amateurs.
Hello, hello.
We're getting some static. So whoever has the audio on, please lower the volume, and also stay on mute when you're not talking. Rich, how's it going?
Good. Is that me that has the echo, maybe?
Yeah, it should be better now.
Okay.
Rich, so you said you are on the board of some AI committee. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So, every year there's that CES show in Vegas. And so through my consulting group that I work with, I'm on the I vice chair the AI committee for CTA. So CTA is the technology, Consumer Technology Association that runs the CES show. So, there's just a lot going on in that space. We have a lot going on with legislation that I'm a part of. I don't work a lot in that. I just stayed in tune. There's like over 350 different proposed bills or legislations that are about to pass in the US. So we do a lot of let's say lobbying from a consumer technology perspective of what's good practice, what's not good, what's bad practice. I also am in some subcommittees where we're writing tech and standards for like wearables and medical devices, anything in consumer technology that's either approaching health and wellness or just smart home products that use AI. So yeah, a lot.
Okay, thank you for the overview. Robert, what do you think about all that?
I went to the Consumer Electronics Show 25 times, so I think it's a big deal.
It's an awesome show.
All right. Robert, we're getting echo from your side.
That's strange. Let me jump out and restart, and I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Rich, so when it comes to AI, what would you say you know the best among most people in this space? What can I ask you about?
So that's an interesting question because I spent a lot of time, if you look at my background, 10 plus years, I've come from the smart home space. And, when we were in the smart home space, we did a lot with AI, but more of the traditional, we call it traditional AI versus generative AI. And traditional AI is like, how do you take sensor data and, put machine learning to it to, detect patterns, whether it's from an alarm perspective, but now, approaching generative AI and how that's coming into the technology space. There's a lot going on with that, a lot that you actually don't even see here on X. So, here's a perfect example. Google Home's new generative AI feature is going to allow you to kind of talk to your Google Assistant and ask, hey, did somebody leave the bike out on the driveway, or what happened with the pot that fell over? Can you show me that video? So generative AI is starting to interpret what's happening without.
Okay, but my question for you specifically is, what do you know the best? Like, if I have a question about which specific topic, should I ask you instead of Michelle and Robert?
I know quite a bit about the inner workings of the large language models and how they're being used across different spaces, and just anything with AI policy, especially when it comes to medical.
Okay. Speaking of medical, I was looking up the top news of the week, and there's one that is interesting. Rich, you have to stay on mute when you're not talking. Thank you. Page and Microsoft unveiled next-gen AI models for cancer diagnosis. In a groundbreaking medical AI development, Page and Microsoft have introduced advanced AI models, Virtual 2 and Virtual 2G, for cancer diagnosis and treatment. These models promise to revolutionize pathology by enhancing accuracy and efficiency. So that was one of the news. Michelle, have you heard about this one? I saw you clapping.
No, I was actually impressed. Like, you can be interested in lots of things, and I didn't knew about this. That's amazing, because it's applying what I know worked on a bunch of other things to something medical like this. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of news every single week about AI, AI and robotics, and I mean, we could do a daily space, honestly, if I had the time, or maybe in the future. For now, we're going to stick to weekly. But so this one specifically, Page is a leading player in digital pathology solutions, and Microsoft have jointly introduced the second generation of their groundbreaking AI models. Monumental leap in the field of cancer diagnosis, offering enhanced accuracy, efficiency, and deeper understanding of cellular and tissue structures. These next-gen models can accurately detect cancer across over 40 different tissue types, including both common and rare cancers. Both models leverage Page's advanced foundation model technology, enabling them to learn from a broad spectrum of data and perform a wide variety of tasks. Paved the way for more personalized cancer treatments. I'm just reading some highlights from what I've seen. Robert, what do you think of this? You worked at Microsoft before, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. There's a whole bunch of things coming in medical. A friend is starting a AI medical wearable company. Dag Kitlaus, the co-founder of Siri, is starting a company called Riva Health that looks that uses the iPhone camera, the standard iPhone camera. You put your finger on it, and it tells you your blood pressure. Cancer. How is the cancer model working? Is it hooked up to scans, like coming off an MRI or a blood test or something? What is it looking through to figure out that it has cancer? But there's a lot coming next year. In fact, this will probably be a big deal at the Consumer Electronics Show. There should be a whole pavilion of medical things that are coming.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to the specific question, but in this case, unprecedented scale and diversity. Virtual 2 and Virtual 2G are the largest AI models ever built for clinical pathology, trained on an immense data set of over 3 million pathologist slides sourced from 800 labs across 45 countries. Omar, let me ask you this. So this breakthrough collaboration between Page and Microsoft for cancer AI, next-gen AI models for cancer diagnosis, when can we expect to see this to improve diagnosis for the masses? Instead of a news item that's discussed in spaces, when can we see this? When we go to the doctor, the probability of a correct diagnosis, a personalized solution working well for the patient has increased materially.
I mean, I think you already have. Deep learning and AI have been transformative in biology and drug discovery. AlphaFold by DeepMind, for example, it's really difficult when you have a protein to know what that protein is going to look like physically in 3D, to know how that protein is going to fold. And now with AlphaFold, they can do it in a fraction of the time. This has led to an accelerated time to bring new treatments to market. I mean, you look at the COVID vaccine, without deep learning, it wouldn't have been possible, and we might still be in a pandemic situation. So I think your average person has already received treatments that were created with the help of deep learning. And these latest models that you're talking about are just another step in that direction.
Robert, would you agree with all of that?
Yes, 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 yes. I'm just trying to think back to all the stuff I've seen and all the lists I've built. Omar's absolutely right. There's a whole bunch of people using AI to discover new drugs. The SRI lab, which is where Siri and the internet started, they showed me an AI that would look through blood cells looking for a cancerous cell, like millions and millions going by, and they were having pretty good luck. I don't know if this technique is for. It sounded like pathology, so they're probably looking at scans of like if they take a biopsy out of a tumor or something like that, they can throw that through here, and AI should be pretty good at that. Yeah.
Okay, good. We have a lot to talk about today. Everybody, please relax in your chairs. Continue eating your dinner. Have this on the background. We have a lot of AI news to discuss this week. Michelle, any final word on, and Rich, any final word on this item, the collaboration between Paige and Microsoft?
I don't know if Michael had anything to say, but yeah, the Alpha the AlphaFold 3 is pretty incredible. And if you listen to any of the interviews that Demis talks about, he's predicting within the next couple of years that people will have, mRNA vaccines that are more matching to your body type versus just kind of a generalized, vaccine. As a side note and personal story, my father recently passed away from a very rare cancer, which when he was diagnosed like 15 years ago, they said there would never be a treatment, and through immunotherapy and drug discovery every single year they were finding more and different kind of treatments for him. And there are already companies that are using new startups in the biomedical field that are taking generative AI and matching and using like AlphaFold, their technology of understanding a person's true DNA makeup to be able to then match specifically cancer treatment for that person. And so that's still a couple of years away, but it's the path that it's going to. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay, good. Michelle?
Well, it makes me remember something about Google and their compute power when like Google Cloud was a new thing. They showcased when they presented it at their Google I/O how they had like so much compute power and they resolved another medical protein folding thing. And everybody was impressed and everybody clapped that, wow, they can do this amazing amount of computation. But like now at the scale at which we're putting AI systems, it's way order of magnitude more compute than we were talking back then being put online right now. It's like immeasurable amount of calculation capability that they have.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda today is Apple chooses Google chips, Google TPUs over NVIDIA GPUs for its AI infrastructure. In a noteworthy decision, Robert, Apple has reportedly opted for Google's specialized AI chips over industry leader NVIDIA's GPUs for its AI infrastructure. What do you think about this?
I think it's very positive. I met an AI guy from Google a few months ago, and he said one of the secret advantages Google has is they make their own AI chips, and they don't have to wait in line to get the NVIDIA H200 cards that like Elon Musk just bought for the data center that he showed off last night. So yeah, this lets Apple fuck Google a little bit. Apple's executives really don't like Google, and they don't want to do more business with Google because Google ripped off Android from them, they believe. And so this lets them create AIs models without giving any anything to NVIDIA. It's an interesting move. God knows what the real reason is. Was it cheaper? Did they put it to bid with the two companies? I'd love to hear that kind of thing. But
okay,
yeah,
specifically,
Google data centers are really good, and they can build models with Google's data centers just as effectively as NVIDIA can.
okay, thank you.
Most of us don't have access to Google's data centers.
Thank you.
Yep.
Specifically, the TPU V4 and TPU V5 have gained recognition for their performance and efficiency in AI workloads. Apple's adoption is a significant endorsement, boosting Google's standing in the AI hardware space. Later on, we're going to talk about the software race as well, but sticking with this topic for now, because it is a major topic. It's also a timely topic because NVIDIA is announcing earnings, I believe, Wednesday. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, they have been long-term commitments from Apple to do things responsibly, and responsibly regarding their manufacturing, but responsibly regarding hosting iCloud and all of their electricity needs. And I wonder if with how efficient that chip is and with how environmentally sustainable power is provided to Google data centers, I'm not sure about the exact numbers, but maybe they wanted to make that environmental choice and partner with them long term to you guys are gonna host our stuff. It's not like they're gonna switch and change their mind after that.
Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I didn't see the news today, but I'm also going to theorize that the chip architecture might sync better with the M series chips, seeing that Google does a lot with on-device AI. The other competitor is Qualcomm for on-device AI, so it's possible that it's a faster deployment for them too.
Yeah. Well, so there are two different TPUs involved in this. By the way, there was no public announcement of it. There was a research paper published by Apple that was discussing Apple Intelligence. So this decision came to light in a research paper. The paper mentioned extensive use of Google's TPUs, but notably lacked any reference to NVIDIA GPUs. And to your point, Rich, there are two TPUs involved. One of them is TPU V5P for AI models for iPhones and other devices, on-device AI, like you mentioned. But there's also TPU V4, primarily utilized for server-side AI models, indicating their power for large-scale training and inference. So on both the server-side and the on-device AI, Apple appears to be using Google TPUs. Omar, do you still have NVIDIA investments?
Yeah, I do. I'm still holding my NVIDIA investment. The story with Apple isn't really a surprise to anybody who's been following Apple and NVIDIA's relationship, really going back decades. They've had beef with NVIDIA ever since NVIDIA sold them some graphics cards for one of their iMacs or Mac Pros or something. And there was an issue with the card where it was overheating or something, and there were some defective units. NVIDIA refused to stand by their card, and said it was actually Apple's issue for making the computer not cool correctly, and Apple had to kind of eat the costs, and Nvidia, you know, wouldn't sort of reimburse them. They weren't really that financially strong at the time; they couldn't afford to. And since then, Apple has never put an Nvidia card into their product. They've been doing AMD graphics cards, and now more recently, they make their own GPUs to put inside their products. So that kind of is possibly the reason why they're highlighting TPUs as well. In addition to just the cost of NVIDIA over other similar AI training systems, there's definitely an NVIDIA premium that doesn't get you any extra training performance.
Interesting. I'm going to go to Robert next to get a background on the issue that you discussed. But before Robert, quick shout out for our sponsors. Both of them are at the top of your screens in the nest. Pay more. If you have old cell phones, old electronics, MacBooks or iPhones just sitting around, turn that unused tech into cold, hard cash at Paymore. Paymore pays top dollar for your electronics. Whether it's the latest iPhone or an older model, Paymore wants it. Visit one of the 100 locations in the US, more coming globally. Don't wait. Turn your tech into treasure today. You can also go to paymore.com. And the second sponsor, Joa. TSLA Live, AI Amateurs is proudly sponsored by Joa, your go-to source for premium Tesla accessories. From innovative phone mounts to cutting-edge charging solutions, Joa offers everything you need to enhance your Tesla ownership experience. Don't miss out on our special offer for space listeners. Use the code TSLA Live at checkout for exclusive discounts. All right, Robert, would you give us a background on the event that Omar mentioned, the long-standing issue with NVIDIA and Apple?
Yeah, I actually asked ChatGPT for some background too, and it gave me some background. It says NVIDIA's competitive position is a problem for Apple. NVIDIA is a dominant player in AI hardware, ChatGPT says, but it's also increasingly becoming a competitor in AI software and platforms. Apple might prefer to work with Google, which, despite being a competitor in some areas like mobile OS, is more of a partner in cloud services. Apple might also want to avoid becoming too dependent on a single supplier, NVIDIA, that also has ambitions in AI software and services. And I keep hearing rumor after rumor that NVIDIA is coming out with a humanoid robot, and that NVIDIA is coming out with augmented reality glasses. That puts NVIDIA really deeply as a new disruptive force in the tech industry, where Google is a known force. It's a little less disruptive. And it goes on. But yeah, I agree with Omar.
Omar, question for you. So can Apple, how much performance are they sacrificing? It can't just be that issue, right? From decades ago. If NVIDIA GPUs were so much better than Google TPUs, despite that grudge from decades ago, Apple would likely still go with NVIDIA. Is that not right? So the performance differential per cost shouldn't be that much then.
Remember also, Google is paying Apple for its search traffic in the web browsers, right?
Okay.
I believe it was.
Yeah, the question is for Omar, right? Robert. The question is for Omar.
Well, Apple likes to do things their way, and they don't like to be beholden to anybody. Steve Jobs always said, because of his history in the computer industry and getting screwed over so many times, every time they worked with somebody, that company screwed them over. For example, he signed up a guy named Bill Gates to make apps for his new computer, the Macintosh. He said, Bill, I got to show you this amazing system. We've got the Macintosh. Instead of a text interface, there's windows, and you can move them around. Look, it's a graphical interface. This is how we're going to make computers. We've got the Macintosh. Instead of a text interface, there's windows, and you can move them around. Look, it's a graphical interface. This is how we're going to make computers accessible to everybody. And Bill said, wow, Steve, that's So a lot of these hard learned lessons have taught Steve Jobs, own all your core technologies. They can keep these beefs going for years, and they're willing to invest in Google TPUs or even their own data center chips to lessen their reliance on a company that's very powerful and is charging a premium.
Thank you. Michelle?
Another example, similar example I had in mind was on their desktop, and I mean their laptop too, like their desktop Mac OS front. They had Intel CPUs, and then there was this huge vulnerability that affected both Windows and Mac because of those Intel CPUs, and that kind of like weakened the Mac reputation for being more secure than Windows, when in fact the vulnerability affected both systems equally.
Okay, thank you. DMB?
Yeah, automation is the future. I mean, I work in it. I'm using it every single day, and I think it's important to learn AI. It's one of these tools that it's just far surpassed all humans to a point where I think it's important to just learn how to use it. And I'm customizing CRM tools, and we actually work with Tesla to try to work
Okay,
on their
so
CRM.
can you all right, so this is the first time you're speaking in AI Amateurs. First time speakers are limited to asking questions. Also, we don't really talk about Tesla in this space. That's for TSLA Live. Okay, thank you. All right, let's see.
There's one other reason that Apple would go with Google instead of NVIDIA, and it's the architecture of what NVIDIA does. It's called CUDA, and that's their AI technology, NVIDIA's is. And Apple would not like to be dependent on CUDA for its AI, and would be looking for alternatives, is my view. And Google is a major alternative.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about leaderboard ranking methods. So Grok 2 came about to the scene about a week or two ago, and it's moving up in the rankings, in performance rankings. Omar, can you give us an overview of the chatbot leaderboard ranking system that Elon mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got so many LLM models these days. How do you know which one is better, right? Let's say you train a new LLM. How can you even be sure that it's better than the last one? How can you be sure if it's better or worse than other models? We need some way to test this out. So that's where these chatbot leaderboards came from. With these leaderboards, you enter your prompt into the Chatbot Arena program, and you get two responses from two different models. You then say which response is the better of the two. This allows you to sort of organically rank responses against each other, and the model that consistently produces a better answer than the other model will end up with a higher score. So these are sort of blind taste tests where the name of the model doesn't show up, people don't know what company it's from, they just say what response they like better. And Grok has risen to become a state-of-the-art model in a pretty remarkably short time since the company was founded.
Michelle, any thoughts on that?
If you measure the velocity on the charts, they will be to the moon in 2 weeks.
Do you think Grok 2 will continue to rise in the leaderboard rankings?
Maybe not Grok 2, but like Grok 3 is going to come soon enough when they deploy more of that compute that they put online, and they like learn to use it even better than they taught when they installed it. That's usually what happens.
When do you think Grok's ready? Do we have any information on that?
No, but I mean, long term, they have their new toy that they trained Grok 2 with, and then they go like round 2. Like, what could like they go back to first principle and try like how much could we use this hardware in an even more ambitious way?
Okay, I'm thinking about a specific Hugging Face, and I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's LM Sys Chatbot Arena Leaderboard, right? Is
Yeah,
that the
that's
way?
how you say it.
Okay. So this one is ranked with ELO ranking system. Is that correct? So you do a blind test, and is
Right.
it always 2 going up against each other? And then the person selects what the best answer is, right?
Correct.
Are you surprised by how fast Grok 2 is rising?
Yes. I mean, XAI wasn't even a company yesterday. So, I mean, I think it just speaks to Elon's skill. People talk about others catching up to Tesla or, catching up to SpaceX, catching up to Elon's companies. I mean, this guy is so fast that he's leapfrogging the industry leaders with a company that was, founded after ChatGPT was released. So it really is a testament to the speed of Elon's companies and the way that he's able to replicate and even beat these state of the art models is surprising. Not too long ago, it seemed like ChatGPT had this massive moat, and it would be years before anybody could create technology like that. Now everybody's had it, and XAI is a model that's just as good as the GPT-4o from May, or actually better.
Yeah. So I'm on the Hugging Face website right now. LM's Chatbot Arena is a crowdsourced open platform from LLM evals. We've collected over 1 million human pairwise comparisons to rank LLMs with the Bradley Terry model and display the model ratings in ELO scale. You can find more details in our paper. Chatbot Arena is dependent on community participation. Please contribute by casting your vote. So I can participate in this too? All I need to do is just kind of
Yeah.
sign up? Okay.
Yeah,
maybe I'll do
anybody
that
can.
then. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So does the human tester, do they ask the question or do they submit a given question with the answers?
You can ask anything you want.
Interesting. Ranking number 1 as of right now is ChatGPT 4o latest. And the release date, I guess, of that was 2024, August 8th. It is 19 points ahead of Gemini 1.5 Pro. And Grok 2 is number 3 right now, August 13. So Grok 2 of August 13 is ahead of GPT-4o of May 13. So that goes to show
Yeah.
how fast these things are improving.
So they've caught up to within 3 months of ChatGPT.
Yeah,
And when
that's
was this
amazing.
company even founded?
Yeah, that's incredible. Sorry, my bad. By the way, correction, Grok 2 is tied for second place with Gemini 1.5 because it's within the 95 percentile confidence interval, plus or minus. That makes sense. And then they have a column for knowledge cutoff as well. Oh, that's really good. I can actually use that. That's really good. So GPT-4o latest release cutoff is 2023 October. Wow. Grok 2 cutoff is 2024 March. Michelle?
And a small footnote: if you want to sign up and use this, don't put like sensitive information because it's like research information, conversations you're having with those AI. But you get AI for free, essentially, and you don't know which one. It's really practical for people that don't want to buy up this subscription and then the other subscriptions. You can have AI for free by participating in those endeavors.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's really good to know. That's really awesome to know. Okay, so can you, Michelle, can you explain to me? So Grok 2 cutoff date is 2024 March. but at the same time, it can pull from even today's tweets. So how does that work?
I mean, there used to be really like the context window, so like the text you had within the conversation, and on the model knowledge, which is much larger, that you're having a conversation with. But now there's more and more different shelves where custom information is stored. And then one of those shelves is like trying to browse. If you use ChatGPT and you explicitly ask it to browse the web, it's going to do some sort of Bing search. Good luck with that. And it's going to build a little separate side page of contextual text it's going to work with. And then it combines that and talks with you. But like Grok does that by doing a basic, right now, really basic search of X, and then using whatever tokens comes up in the results, absorbing it, and then making it part of the context window you're having a conversation with.
Okay, Omar, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the knowledge cutoff really refers to what's in the training set, right? So eventually you have to finalize the training set, you have to start the training run. And, let's say you start the training run in March, the model's not going to know about anything that happens after the training run took place. However, these models in learning language are really able to use tools. So they can, for example, if let's say Tom Cruise jumped on the couch when he went on Oprah or something, and that wasn't in the knowledge cutoff, but you could say in the prompt, hey, Tom Cruise just went on Oprah and jumped on the couch, and then it would know about it. Then it would be able to discuss things about it based on its training set. So similarly, you can use tools. You can say, hey, the model is fixed. There's no more data being added to the training set. However, I'm going to give you, the model, the power to run a search. So when they ask about something, you can ask me for a search, and I'll give you some tweets that match that search on a semantic level. They use embeddings to find tweets that are similar in meaning. And then now it can read those tweets. It kind of acts like a prompt. It puts it into the prompt, and then it's able to give you answers that are up to date, even though the training set may not have that knowledge.
Got it. Thank you very much for the explanation. And I'm looking at the knowledge cutoff dates. So the latest one I see in this column is 2024 July is Mistral, large in the 12th position. And let's see, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is 2024 April. Claude from Anthropic is also a really good model, tied for number 5 with GPT-4o Mini and Grok 2 Mini. Robert, which one do you use in your mostly?
I've been switching back and forth between ChatGPT and Grok. I also pay for Perplexity and Claude, and I also have Gemini built into, because all my shit is on Google, right? So Gemini is showing up more and more in various products of Google's.
Perplexity doesn't show up in this ranking. What do you make of that?
I think it's behind, but it gives a better user interface for doing research because it shows you where it learned the various facts from. So some people like that better. Most of the time I'm on ChatGPT because of the voice features on my phone. I can talk to it better than the others.
Yeah, talking to ChatGPT is actually a pretty cool feature. How come we can't do that with Grok, Michelle? What do you think? Do you think Grok 3 is going to have that ability?
Well, as long as you have text, you have that ability with accessibility features of whatever device you're using. And I've been doing that with ChatGPT since the week it came out. I
know, but the thing is, like, that's very similar to
the seamless integration is difficult.
Let's say you're talking to somebody from a different country. As opposed to speaking their language, you're using Google Translate to speak into it, translate, and then show them or speak to them. That just doesn't feel, natural. So how come ChatGPT 4o is the only one that has that feature?
Well, because it's able to use that crutch that it has of pivoting what you said into text very effectively with 11 Labs. and it's able to, like ChatGPT 4 was very fast, and the little small delay that people have when they have a good network, the response is pretty fast. But like the really awesome OpenAI voice feature that responds to you way faster, it's just that it doesn't use that crutch of putting the text that's being spoken into text, and then vice versa. It does it natively with the audio file.
Yeah. Robert?
Yeah, there's two pieces to ChatGPT. The first piece is a natural language processing piece called Whisper. And so Whisper is OpenAI's NLP system, and it's way better than anybody else's system that I've seen so far at recognizing your voice and doing so in a very noisy environment. I've tested it next to trains going by and in rock concerts, all sorts of different places. It's really an amazing voice to text recognition system. And Grok does not yet have such a system. I bet that Grok is building such a system, or X.AI, which builds Grok, is building a voice system. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that in the next year. Um, this is something that if I was Elon, I'd be announcing in January during the Consumer Electronics Show and take away anybody's specialness at the Consumer Electronics Show, because a third of the show there is the auto industry. And so if Ford or Mercedes or General Motors is showing off some cool stuff in the expo hall at CES, and then Elon announces Grok with voice in the Tesla car, that would take a lot of the oxygen away from what's going on at CES. Sort of like how Steve Jobs announced the iPhone, the original iPhone, right in the middle of CES and took away a lot of the oxygen, PR oxygen, from people announcing things at CES.
That's a very interesting perspective. Yeah. Omar, any thoughts on that?
And supposedly the version 3 Grok is coming at the end of the year, which would be right in time for them to announce a Grok in the car right during CES. Would be very
Omar, what do you think of
timing.
Robert's? What do you think of Robert's theory that Tesla might announce Grok 3 in the Tesla cars at CES and suck out all the oxygen at the event?
Well, I don't think Tesla's going to have any participation in CES. They don't typically do that. But there is a Grok voice assistant coming. We've seen the code in the firmware already. So, to be fair, the ChatGPT advanced voice mode still hasn't rolled out to everybody. So it's been a disappointingly slow rollout, in part because they're trying to make sure it works well, but also because it takes a lot of inference compute to serve that to you. But it's a super cool feature, the Omni model. I look forward to that launching for ChatGPT. But, Whisper, the speech to text model from OpenAI, they've released it as a completely open model. So anyone is actually allowed to just download it and use it. Like I use it all the time to transcribe videos and search them. You can just run it on your own computer. You don't even need to pay anybody. And you can just take the audio and turn it into text. You can generate subtitles, whatever. So XAI could just take this and use this if they wanted to, but Elon has actually confirmed already that they're training their own Omni model. So these new Omni models, they don't just take in text. They can take in text, they can take in images, they can take in sound, which means they can also take in video, because video is just a series of images plus sound. So these new models will be able to take in all of these input formats and actually respond with all these input formats too. So Grok 3, which is an Omni model, you will be able to talk to it and have it generate audio out, natively audio to audio, just like with GPT-4o.
Okay, great. So I'm looking at these on this leaderboard from Hugging Face. I'm looking at the larger models and the mini versions of those larger models. So for example, GPT-4o has a arena score of 1286, and GPT-4o mini has 1275. So it's very close. very close. And the cutoff date is the same, 2023 October. Omar?
And by the way, I don't want to get too much into Tesla, but you see so many misconceptions these days about hardware 3. And look at these smaller models. Look at these minis, right? There's
So
always a need.
that was my exact question. I was leading up to it. Do you think
Yeah,
this is
there's-
similar to hardware 4, hardware 3 model for 12.5?
I mean, there's always a need for a mini, right? So there's always a trade-off between inference compute and performance. So sometimes you want a bigger model for a complex question. A lot of times the smaller model is actually better because it's faster and it can handle a simple request like, hey, what's the capital of France? Much, just the same and faster than the bigger model. So there's really a place for both. And you see a similar thing with hardware 3 and hardware 4. And I would just have people look at these chatbot leaderboards, and you see that the smaller models are continuing to get bigger. I'm sorry, better. They're continuing to perform better. So one of the misconceptions is that you can only improve the performance of a model by adding more compute. But that's not true at all. You can use more compute in the training data center, train a better model, and still inference it in the same amount of time, but it performs better. So the idea that, okay, we only have a fixed amount of inference compute, it's not going to be able to get better anymore. This is the last update that we're going to get for hardware 3, that kind of thing. It just kind of reflects an ignorance of, I think, how these machine learning models work.
Exactly. That's why we have this AI amateur space, so that we can build this deep understanding of AI and robotics, and hopefully take some lessons out and take it to TSLA Live. For a lot of there's some overlap in the audience, but there's a lot of new members in this space as well. So I'm trying to build this podcast, AI Amateurs, on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Please like and repost the space. Invite your friends. Invite experts. They're welcome to come up to speaker board and share with us their take on these things as well. I'm looking at this leaderboard, and wow, there are 133 models that are being voted on here. That is incredible. This is such a comprehensive race here. Michelle, then Robert.
So, we talked earlier about like testing 2 models side by side, and like on a 1080p screen, I usually split 4 windows, and I like to try something challenging and give it to lots of AI. But now I got this 2K monitor. And I think I'm gonna run 6 models at a time when I'm really trying to like do something complicated and compare the results, because those mini models are they have a simpler approach sometimes at what you're asking it to do, and it gives better results. Like, to bounce on Homer example, he said like, what's the capital of France is a very different question than how to exactly make like perfect croissant. It's a different level of complexity.
Okay, Robert.
Yeah, what you're going to start seeing is orchestras of AIs, different sized models working together to do different tasks. For instance, if Omar's in his Cybertruck talking to a future Grok, he probably most of the time is going to ask it, where's the in and out, right? That does not need a really, really complex big model to answer. But if he starts asking it for, I need a college essay on for a chemistry class or something like that, that is the kind of thing that you really want a big, big, big model to answer, because it'll have more detail in the answer. And you're already seeing Apple's system do this. It'll answer on your phone with a small model, do something very simple, maybe change the brightness on your screen kind of thing, or find you in and out on the phone. But if you start asking a more complex model, it'll actually send that prompt over to OpenAI, to the big model, to get a better answer, and then bring that back to your phone.
Thank you. We have a new speaker, Maya Al Gohari. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, everyone. It's first time for me to talk in any space.
Welcome. First-time speakers are limited to asking questions. What's your question?
My question is that okay, I'm in the middle of a big thing, which yet for a couple of years, which yet I don't understand very well. Okay, with the AI and stuff. I'm trying to get it, and I feel like I need to be doing something specific, but I don't know it yet. I don't know if you understand me or not.
Does anyone in the speaker board understand the question?
She doesn't understand how to get started with AI. Can I ask some questions? Are you
Yeah,
using
this
like
is-
ChatGPT or Google Gemini or one of these newer AIs that's come out on the market in the last year and a half?
Yeah, you can leave your question in the replies to the space, and I will monitor the replies. Okay. Before we move on from this hugging face leaderboard, I would like every speaker to make their guess on when do you think, or let's say, who do you think is going to be the leader by year end? ChatGPT 4.0, Gemini 1.5, Grok 2, or another model that's about to come out in the next couple of months here? Who do you think will be the leader by year end? Omar, let's start with you. Michelle?
Well, if OpenAI can't be strong arm into releasing GPT-5, I think, and I still hope it's GPT-5, but it's like the eternal wait for the product they never release, the same way they're not releasing voice to everyone. So I'm gonna say GPT-5, your last choice.
You think GPT-5 is going to come out by the end of this year?
How long do they have to fiddle with something they trained back in spring for them to release it to the public a year? It's kind of like they should start shipping it and deal with the consequences. It's going to be epic, but they need to put it out the same way they were brave when they came out with ChatGPT, and then move fast and break things. Like it was an amazing, like, world changing moment. But they are afraid to throw their second strike. They are afraid to throw the ball into the pins and see if they're going to do a strike or not. They should just go for it.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
I'm going to stay with OpenAI because of the user data that they have and the partnership with Apple that they have. I think you're going to see OpenAI announce something during the Apple announcements. I think on September 9th is the date when the new Apple Intelligence gets announced and the partnership with OpenAI gets really explained. That would be a great time for Sam to come on stage and say, "Hey, we're shipping, a new major model or series of models to run this new system."
Wow, that would be huge if they do that. So you think Sam Altman is going to be on stage with Tim Cook
Yeah.
on September 9th? Wow. Okay.
Now I'm thinking back to a dinner I had with one of the three co-founders at Siri about a decade ago, and he said that he taught me the most important thing with AI is the speed of learning. And he said they actually instrumented Google and found Google back then was learning faster. Their AI was learning faster than Apple's AI was. And so he says if your learning rate is faster, you're eventually going to win. And Grok's learning rate is the fastest right now. And unless OpenAI is holding back a lot of learning that we don't know about yet, Grok could very well be in the top spot at the end of the year because of the learning rate.
Okay. Just for fun.
Yeah, I don't. Did you want me to answer the question you're asking when I was coming up, or can I just ask a question?
You can ask a question.
Yeah, I haven't heard everything discussed, so you can skip this if you already covered it. But as far as I know, Grok 1 wasn't on the leaderboard before. And was just wondering, was that because they didn't submit it in some way, because there's some performance level or something else that the prior version versions of Grok wasn't on there.
I don't believe it was good enough to get on the leaderboard, but you might be right that somebody didn't actually, submit it or go through the evaluation process.
All right, thank you. Sorobot?
Hey, thanks for giving me the mic. So TLDR, the answer would be OpenAI, but it's not because of the reasons that like other people have talked about. So previously, like in the last, I saw the landscape evolve, and like training large language models have always been a function of the compute that you can provide. So even though Google was trailing a little bit behind early, I thought that Google will eventually catch up, because when it comes to the amount of infrastructure that they have, OpenAI simply cannot beat them. But then I realized it gradually that if you want to go, how should I say, very long in this AI race, then you cannot win just by infra, because like as bigger and bigger models come like GPT-4, GPT-5, GPT-6, it's simply not possible to have that much amount of compute to train them, because the amount of power that we're going to require for training a model like GPT-7 or GPT-6 is going to take like 20% of the entire power consumption of the United States, and it's simply not possible from a power consumption POV. And this and we have seen that the power production capacity of US is not increasing, and that goes for the rest of the world as well. So if we want to keep on going and keep on evolving our AI models better and better, we have to think of alternate learning strategies like Q-star, meta learning, pruning the model, or even quantization, which basically boils down to how fast you can innovate and my observation so far has been that OpenAI tends to innovate faster than Google because of the inherent structure of Google that they work with. Yeah, Michael. Hello.
Okay, thank you. Michelle?
Well, there's not just power in terms of the amount of power you need, but like Elon was interviewed by Lex Freeman recently, and he mentioned in passing that the issue he was having in his AI training center XAI was putting together was that the power would go and fluctuate. Like as they run a huge training set, the power delivery systems kind of tripped, and they needed to customize that. How like when you run these huge training loads, the odd off the shelf hardware that you just plug in and you leave the default configuration on is not always ideal. So you need the expertise to tune those things that Google also have, but now XAI has demonstrated that they were able to put that together and put it to use really fast. That's an amazing like speed that they achieved.
Yeah, the modern grids that we have, at least to the best of my knowledge, they are not equipped with the kind of variations that we are going to see, because when we train an AI model, they are going to consume lots of energy, and how the grid balances the load and redistributes the power to the entire country without shutting it down is something which I'm not sure what's the progress there, but we need to progress there as well.
Okay, thank you. So your guess is ChatGPT will be the leader at the end of the year. Is that correct?
Yes, but my guess is not because they're going to be bigger and bigger model, but because I think we are going to do quite better with the smaller models that we have. Like even with a new version of GPT-4, we might be able to achieve a way better performance that we have right now with GPT-4o.
Okay, Omar, any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure. I'm just tuning back in.
Which model do you think will be the leader at year end on Hugging Face? Chatbot Arena.
Well, I'm rooting for Grok, but if I wanted to make a bet just based on what I thought had the most probability of being a success, I'd go with ChatGPT. I think there's a good chance Grok 3 could surpass what OpenAI has out today. The question is, what are they going to have out at that point?
So Roberts made a prediction that on September 9, Sam Altman will be on stage with Tim Cook and will announce the next big model from OpenAI. Do you think partnership
Yeah,
with
right.
why why?
First of all, there's not going to be a stage. They're going to make a video and play it. Okay. Second of all, they're not going to let Sam Altman speak during their biggest product unveil of the year.
Robert, any rebuttal?
Yeah, that's not the pattern that Apple's done in the past few years. They've had partners on the video, if you want to call it a video. I call it a stage, but video, where they have video partners talking about things that are important to the Apple ecosystem. And Apple's doing a big partnership with OpenAI, a very public one. So I would expect that Sam would at least come out and say hi and show off, one or two things about the new system.
Sounds like we have
I
a
think-
coffee bet. It sounds like we have a coffee bet here, Omar. Will Sam
Yeah,
Altman
I'd bet a
show,
cup of coffee on that.
will Sam Altman show up on the video / stage and say hi?
Well, he may say hi. I mean, they do have a surface level integration, but this event is really going to be first and foremost about the new iPhone, and secondly about Apple Intelligence. They'll maybe mention the ChatGPT integration in passing. Maybe Sam throws in a few words about AI, even, sure. But in terms of announcing a new model and stealing the thunder from the new iPhone, not going to happen.
I didn't say steal the thunder, because the Apple iPhone, Apple Intelligence is actually going to call OpenAI for some answers and is a partner of Apple's. So they might show off, hey, there's some new things that you might try with your new iPhone when you get it.
I guess we'll
Yeah,
see.
I think
It's
I
only
think
2
Apple
weeks
will
ahead.
really be highlighting their own models. Like they have a really kind of interesting sort of architecture they're thinking of here where you have these LLMs running locally on your phone and in the cloud that sort of act as the mediator, dispatching your requests out to other models. So in this sort of view of the world, Apple controls the end user in their device, and they reach out to ChatGPT only when they can't handle the request themselves. So it's kind of interesting how the landscape's evolving and how these models will be integrated into our devices.
So do we have
Omar-
a coffee bet?
Yeah. Omar, do you think the Apple integration will help OpenAI improve ChatGPT faster?
I think it cements OpenAI's place as the AI chatbot in many ways. And, Apple says they're going to open up the integration to others, but so far it's just going to be ChatGPT. So this is a big win for them, I think, at a time where their dominance is being chipped away by, 100 other models in the chatbot arena. And it definitely is worth something. But really, it only sends certain requests to ChatGPT if it can't handle it themselves. I think it will help them, but they're already the undisputed leader. So most of these users who see that dialogue are not going to be learning about ChatGPT from it. They've already used it most likely, and that's not really going to change that much. I mean, maybe it'll help a little bit, but Apple really wants to try and own as much of the user interaction as they can. And nobody is getting to ChatGPT on the new Siri without going through Apple's models first.
Interesting. Andy. Can you guys hear Andy?
Not
Andy,
yet.
Yeah, Andy, we can't hear you. Michelle, what do you think?
Well, this like they locked in the user agent and they only give requests to OpenAI. Of course, it's a two-way street that OpenAI then gets a new type of users that are just desperately, like my mom, trying to use Siri to take a screenshot and send it to her sister. So they're gonna get these rich, confused people type of query, and they need to improve on delivering on those queries. So it is going to provide to OpenAI a different type of user than the current users of OpenAI. How much they're going to use that data for improving the model is the same way if like Tesla licensed FSD, how much Tesla needs the training data from those licensed cars. No, not that much. They have their fleet that they train their stuff on. So they might as well offer their data back for licensing full self-driving, but Tesla does not really need it to improve.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. AI company Anthropic faces a class action lawsuit brought by authors who allege that the company illegally used their copyrighted books along with hundreds of thousands of others to train its Claude AI model. The authors claim that Anthropic accessed pirated versions of their works through datasets such as the Pile, infringing on their intellectual property without compensation. The lawsuit is part of a broader wave of legal challenges against AI companies, including OpenAI and Meta, over their use of copyrighted content for AI training. This litigation tests the boundaries of fair use in AI training practices, with the plaintiffs arguing that AI training goes beyond traditional fair use and strips creators of their rightful earnings. Robert, what do you think about these class action lawsuits over copyrighted material? Do you think this will slow down the development of AI?
Yeah. Ooh, man, lawyers and me. When I worked at Microsoft, I learned that lawyers keep a lot of things from shipping. And if there's fear that they're going to lose a lawsuit because of how these models were built, that could be a retardant factor on the industry. I think on the other side, you're going to see innovation in terms of showing people where this data, where the data came from to train these models, and give you more capabilities to pull your stuff out if you want. But it'll be interesting to see how these lawsuits get wrapped up, and it usually takes a couple of years for them to get wrapped up.
I mean, some would say we'll achieve AGI in a couple of years. So that's a long time in this space. Michelle?
What's currently covered by OpenAI, if you had any commercial relationship with them, like the 25 USD per month account per person and more, or if you had your partnership of using OpenAI through Microsoft, that's covered. But individual users paying the $20 to OpenAI are not covered against being sued for that very same type of stuff right now in the terms and condition of what OpenAI provided to the public.
Thank you. Omar, any word on this topic?
No thoughts right now.
Okay. Any other news that you guys want to discuss today? Any other AI or robotics news that you want to discuss? You can just unmute yourself and go ahead. Any questions for the audience about AI or robotics? You're welcome to request to speak. I'm going to pin at the top of our screens a quick video, 1 minute video. Oh, Michelle, go ahead.
So this list that you had of subjects of talking about, the one that hooked me in was also telling people more that if they pay this paid subscription to ChatGPT, it will sometimes display a little like memory updated message. Like
actually,
it is something that's gonna remember of you.
I only use the free version of ChatGPT. So even the free version has the memory updated function now.
oh, that's news to me. That's very useful feature. You got to be aware of it accumulating some sort of customization knowledge about you, so don't be creeped out when it does. It's able to put together something you go like, whoa, how the AI knows about this? Well, it's the first implementation for a lot of people. If you exclusively use the free version, that you have an AI that remembers something that you said it several weeks ago, and it's going to craft your answer knowing that you're a cyclist, or knowing that you love bees for some reason or something like that.
Yeah. So I pinned at the top of our screens an exchange I had with ChatGPT today. Specifically, I asked ChatGPT to come up with features that Tesla has and Rivian doesn't. Okay. And he came up with a list, but it listed a bunch of FSD autopilot functions in separate items. So for example, highway exit navigation, it was a different bullet point versus FSD. And I said, this exchange at the top of our screens, you can follow it if you like, isn't highway exit navigation part of FSD? And it said, yes, you're correct. Highway exit navigation is indeed part of FSD. And then I said, why did you list it twice? And it said, good catch. Listing highway exit navigation twice was an oversight on my part. It should have been mentioned. And then I said, and then it said on top of that, memory updated. So you can see the screenshot at the top of our screens, memory updated. And I said, why did you update memory? And it said, I updated memory because I noticed that you pointed out a few inconsistencies before, and I want to keep track of how attentive you are to details. That way I can ensure I'm providing more accurate and thoughtful responses in future conversations. I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And then I said, that's not in the screenshot, but I said, what else do you remember about me? And he gave me a list. And one of the items on the list was, you have a dog that has a humping problem. I was like, oh, wait a second. I had that conversation about my friend's dog yesterday, and we asked for training methods to, improve on that. But I didn't bother to say my friend's dog has a humping problem. I just said, in short, my dog has a humping problem. So now I was like, well, ChatGPT knows something wrong about me. I don't have a dog right now. So I was like, okay, I need to fix that. So I actually went back to ChatGPT and said, can you fix that? Like, that wasn't my dog. That was my friend's dog. Anyway, Michelle?
Well, the way to fix that is when you go in settings and you fiddle around in settings, you'll find a spot where there are all of your memories about you, and you can shut down those false positives. The way to trigger it in a conversation is just like you try and say it once or twice, like, I really want you to remember this, and then it's going to trigger that feature.
Is there a limit to how much it remembers about you? So when I asked, like, what else do you remember? It gave me a list of 4 bullet points.
It might have hallucinated some of them. I'm not even sure, like, in the interface with that, how live it is. But if you go into settings and see how many, it can build up if you let it trigger all the time and you don't go delete those weird ones. So on a work account, for example, I let it build up to over 200 of those lines. I don't know how much of it loads into context or not at that point, but I've saw people with hundreds of them.
Hundreds of items. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to go back to that settings then. All right. So I guess that's one thing that we took away from today. If you're using ChatGPT, go to your settings and look at what ChatGPT has memorized about you. And I guess you can't fix that. Can you edit it, or can you only add? Can you only remove?
You've been able to edit custom instructions, which are 2 other pieces of text you can give ChatGPT. But that might be limited to paid users. I don't even know why I'm paying now if you're having all of those features for free. I mean, like, right now, it's the conundrum that lots of the paid OpenAI.
It may be that this is part of 4.0, and I guess a bit of a 4.0 usage every day for free, right? So maybe that's what it is. Does that make sense?
There's both, and the custom instructions, like, if you want to edit them, you just do it in the conversation and you ask it to remember something. It's a better interface than fiddling in the settings. I don't think you can just type them out in there, but you can type out custom instructions. Like, one is a text box of, like, what ChatGPT needs to know about you. And the second text box is how you would like ChatGPT to format his answers to you.
Okay, gotcha. Rich Biera.
Hey guys, sorry, I jumped off earlier, so I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Okay, let's move you down to listener mode. That's fine. All right. Man, we have other items that I want to get to, but we're kind of running out of time here. Robert?
Yeah, you asked me to ask a question of the audience. Lex Friedman has an 8-hour video interview, and I'd like to stick it through YouTube through an AI and have an AI watch it. Now, I've already done that. I'm wondering who else in the audience has done that and what tools they use to do that.
Michelle?
Well, Robert, I saw you posting about that, and obviously that's a challenge I picked up. I cheated because there were like 4 people interviewed in that video, and I just split it in 4. But if you really would like to challenge yourself to do it with the whole 8-hour video, we're talking an amount of text that even on a decent computer, you copy, paste it in Notepad, and the computer lags for like 2-3 seconds and goes like, "Whoa, that's a lot of text." So like 8-hour of a transcript is too large to work with, and I split it in 4 and use what I used before, which is putting it in the large context window of OpenAI, and or comparing the results with putting it in Gemini that can gobble up lots of context. But Gemini one shot was less quality results than splitting it per person being interviewed in 4 chunks.
Thank you. That's actually a good tip for using AI. AI doesn't work well if you ask it to do something big, like write a book. If you ask it to write a specific chapter or a subchapter, does much better, right? If you split up the task into chunks, and that sort of gets you into thinking, agentic thinking, they call it, right? Where you're starting to think about how the AI actually works and give it what it does really well.
I've used a lot of having 2 conversations side by side. Sometimes that's the same model, sometimes that's 2 different models, and really trying to dueling now like 4 and then maybe 6, but that's kind of overthinking it. But like comparing, giving the same query to several models and jumping from one to the other. Like one serves as the input method of what's being asked to the second AI.
Okay, great. Good. All right. Michelle, next week on Monday, I want to ask you about, you're probably the obvious go-to person on this. Any tips around prompting these LLMs? I know you have a list of prompts that you've accumulated over the years, and just any basic tips would be really helpful. So next week maybe we can spend some time on that. I think we covered a lot today. Is there anything else, Michelle, that you want to talk about?
That's all right.
All right, Omar, how you doing over there?
Good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I learned a lot today. Learned a lot, especially about Hugging Face. We also talked about Google TPUs versus NVIDIA GPUs, how Apple is going with Google TPUs. I recommend people listen to the whole thing from the beginning if you haven't gotten a chance to do so. We talked about xAI's Grok 2 versus OpenAI's ChatGPT 4o. We talked about memory updated function on 4o and other topics as well. Yeah, good discussions. Robert, anything else? Any other news that we missed this week?
Well, just breaking news, Apple has a new patent which has a smart ring with health tracking and Vision Pro controls. This is the new world that's coming at us. We're going to be watched by AIs, our health is, and it's going to do a lot of things that we can't do yet in terms of predicting, are you healthy?
Okay, Michelle?
Well, the vision control ring is a big deal because if you listen to this video about 8-hour interview we talked about, it's about this Cyberlink and this paralyzed person trying to click or not click something, and they struggle with that. Like, you need a really positive, like, I'm clicking, I'm not clicking thing, and just waving your hands in the air. You could do miss triggers trying to use the Apple Pro headset, but if you have something like a ring, the really satisfying user interface is never wrong because it's really clear if you're pressing the ring or not.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna leave it there. Thank you very much, everybody. Episode 4 of AI Amateurs coming to a close. I will see you guys next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Talk to you tomorrow at TSLA Live. Take care. Good night.